But we continue because these are conversations that we're having on the Spice Baraza this morning. If you just tuned in, this is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. We're having a heavy one this morning, and we're looking at the state of education. What's the real state of education? And for all intents and purposes, this is actually what it looks like. We have a cross-section of folks who are joining us this morning in this conversation. Claudia Lagat. Claudia Lagat is the Assistant Program Officer with Policy Engagement, the Usawa Agenda. Mwalimu Amunga is also here as Education Advocate and Researcher at KEWOTA. And Eric Ambuche is the founder of the Slums Outreach Program. So we're looking at some of those things. We're going to come and hear from people in terms of what it looks like. Mr. Seto, so just to hear and why we do this, and I think it's absolutely necessary. It's very possible for us to exist in a glass house where you think that everything that surrounds you is glitter and gold. But even in the glitter and the gold, there is a flaw. So for us to understand what is really happening and put it out there, to irritate the situation so much that either something is done about it or we keep insisting until something is done. And that's why we talk about these things. Dennis?
The thing is, you hear all these stats that are being thrown around. Education is working. There is budgeting that has happened. We have released capitation. We are building schools for JSS. But this is, kwa ground, they say mambo ni different. The gentleman on my extreme left, there's something you were saying before we went on the break. Just go back to your point and tell us how the situation is on ground.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'd like to dwell on two things here.
Introduce yourself.
Ameno Kandika from Lower Savannah, Embakasi East. I'd like to dwell on two things here. One, infrastructure, and then two, quality of the education that our kids are getting. Because we are worried as parents. So wakati serikali nasema leteni wanafunzi ama leteni watoto wasome bure, underline hiyo kitu bure, hapo ndio kunakuwa na shida. Area hata wangesema atafi, lakini wakati wanasema bure, and then the first thing you meeting is 10,000 on your face ya kusema ndio mtoto akanyege kwa classroom, tupatieni 10,000 alafu uongeze sijui 3,500 ya desk. Hiyo ni pesa ushapatana nayo kwanza. That's not free. That's not free. And it's happening. And everybody here is sharing the same thing that I'm talking about here. So infrastructure-wise, wakati maybe in Lower Savannah you've got only one school. Inaitwa Idilvel. Na tangu tuzaliwa sisi tumeka kwa hiyo mtaa. Ile ndio shule, the only public school that we have. The only one. And in Lower Savannah, we've got a population of 300,000. And majority of them are parents. So you can imagine the number of kids that we have that need that education. So we really have a challenge. Hata wakati unaendea pengine mambo na clean water, maji tu ya kutumia juu watoto wanakaa kwa shuleni the whole day. They need to take water. How do they accept that clean water? It's another challenge. Playgrounds.
Kama unafanyaje?
You really the kid has to carry water from home. That is a routine, daily routine.
So mtoto anaenda shule na kakibuyu na maji.
Yes, you just carry. So that ile itam sustain the whole day. Failure to do that, mtoto anaenda hapo amekunywa maji pengine si clean. That's another it's a challenge. We really experience, especially here in Nairobi. Na mnajua mambo na maji venye na saa zingine inakuwa rationed. So we really facing
so as a parent challenge. You're equally concerned that you take your child to school.
Yeah.
Quality of education is an issue.
Wondering,
education is not free.
Yes.
But again, there's a question of sanitation and
the health of our kids. We really worried. Pale kwetu, pale Jacaranda. Ile uwanja mnasikianga Jacaranda. All the schools around, including the private schools, since all the public spaces have been grabbed, ile ndio sasa playing ground. Na mlisikia serikali ikisema, in fact, is this month or sijui next month, sasa wanataka kugeuza hiyo uwanja, wanataka kujenga zile mambo zenye wanajenga. So where our kids watoto wetu affordable housing. Ile ndio maneno inakuja pale. Mr. Kari affordable housing ikikuja pale, wale watoto wetu wa Lower Savannah wanaenda kuchezea wapi? That kid will have to remain
ile kiwanja moja ya siasa.
Ile moja. Ile kiwanja ndio ya siasa, ile kiwanja ndio ya kuchezewa, ile kiwanja ndio ya bunge la mwananchi. Inafanya kazi zote. Lakini sasa hii serikali imesema hapana, hii uwanja iko so idle. Tunataka kuwajengea nyumba pale.
So Edelweiss, hiyo shule yenye unasema public school,
yes,
iko na uwanja?
Haina uwanja. There's a very small space that the kids that are in that school can't even be comfortable using that facility. It's flooded, it's over flooded. So that's a big challenge.
So how do kids, because I know kama kuna class, kuna break time.
Yeah, true.
Kuna break, huwa ziko mbili.
Yeah, like twice.
Yeah. So watoto wanaenda break time wapi? So wanatembea mpaka Jacaranda ama Jacaranda specific days wana book?
You know, Jacaranda, they do play in shifts. Shule zimeshajuana pale.
Okay, sorry.
Wale wanajua ile shule fulani ishapeleka watoto pale. So you hold. Wakati wale wamemalizana ndio mna release hao wengine. They do play in shifts. That is what's happening there. So you go there today, you'll find some kids playing. Ile shule ingine imehold hao wengine. So wale wengine wataachiliwa wakati wengine wale wengine wametoka. That's what's happening. So we really worried. Wakati tunaambiwa masomo ni bure na infrastructure ni ile. All the public spaces in Embakasi East, let me dwell on Embakasi East, zote zimekuwa grabbed. Hakuna hata moja. Na ndio sababu hapa Savannah ilikuwa pamoja na Lower Savannah, they were separated. It was one ward. But ukienda pande ile ingine, pande ya Donholm, ndio unapata Donholm Primary. Just another one public school, na hakuna space ingine ya kujengea watu shule. Hata kama ungependa kujenga, hakuna spaces. The spaces have been grabbed. So we don't have any other option. Okay, and then number 2, quality of education. Wakati ya watoto wamejaa kwa darasa, ule mwalimu wakati anafundisha, I'm worried. Pengine mtoto wako ni backbencher huko, atasikiza nini? So saa zingine mimi na encourage mtoto wangu, tafadhali mwalimu, tafutia mtoto wangu akae pale mbele. Ndio wakati unaongea, sikiza, asikae kule nyuma. Now the place is overcrowded. There's not that attention one-on-one ya mwalimu na mwanafunzi. So it's a worrying trend. Finally, let me be the devil's advocate here. There's one thing that is happening and I'd like to acknowledge. Hapo Lower Savannah tuko na kiongozi MCA amejaribu kazi yake venye anaweza. Kuna early childhood ECD nakuja pale, na I think I'd like to acknowledge that and I encourage him wherever he is that atulete hiyo shule venye ameanza hiyo mipango. Juu watoto wale wachekechea, watoto wetu wanaumia pale sana, lakini since that thing is coming, na since hakuna spaces, ile program itakuwa ina run kwa social law. Hakuna space.
But you know that's his job. You're applauding him for what he's supposed to be doing. ECD is a county function.
True.
It's their job. That's what they are supposed to do. But as a member of the county assembly, they should actually be fostering and making sure that school that you're talking about is actually there. It's their job. That's why you voted them in to be there.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, these people, you vote them in, they go sleep. But so those ones who are doing that, we should acknowledge them.
The gentleman in blue.
Okay. Kwa majina naitwa Sospita. Vile kila mtu anaongea hapa, ndio vile kila mtu ana feel, unless wewe kama utoki Kenya hapa. Unapata shule private, utaambiwa school fees kwa mfano ni 10,000. Na hiyo 10,000 utaambiwa unaweza ileta polepole, unaweza toa ile kile unapata unaleta. Na unaenda public school ile wanatuambia free, unaambiwa tunataka desk na tunataka hiyo 10,000. Na hiyo unaitoa hiyo time. Unataka kuitoa hiyo time. So itabidi utampeleka private, utakuwa unapeleka so 5, mtoto anasoma polepole kuliko utatoa wapi hiyo shilingi 10,000 hiyo time.
Hiyo 10,000 nasikia kila mtu akiongea sana. Hiyo 10,000 ni kama ni official shule zote lazima utoe hiyo 10,000. Ni kama the official bribe. What wame standardize ni 10,000 kwanza.
It's not all schools. Some is higher.
Oh,
in up market. In schools that are in up market, like the schools they're talking about are mainly maybe in Savannah and Embakasi. But a school like, if you want to take a child to schools like in the upper side of Nairobi, it's higher. The truth of the matter is that a school like it's not official, but it's agreed upon between teachers and parents. See, the new parents may not know what has happened. I'm a teacher. So what happens that in a school, like for example, I've been teaching, say, at Nairobi Primary School, we will call parents and tell them, parents, before your child joins our school, we have got extra teachers what we need to pay. We have got electricity, watchmen. There are some utilities that we need to be paying for. So we call a parents' day meeting, and we either we impose or we suggest some figure to them. Many schools have different figures. An upmarket school like say Nairobi Primary will have a higher figure. Now this money is recognized by the school and also through something called PTA, Parents Teachers Association. So we agree as parents and teachers that if we have to run this school, we can't afford the money that the government is giving us. So the parents will not get a receipt because the money we are charging as teachers, I'm one of them and I'm talking as a person who participates in this. We charge them, we give them an unofficial receipt because it's something that we have made a local arrangement between us as teachers and parents to be able to run the school, pay for electricity, pay charges, and pay some many other things that the government is not doing.
So as teachers, you've agreed to just be corrupt.
We are not really, you cannot just use the word corrupt, sir. Okay. What we are doing is, we call the parents and tell them, this is the reality on the ground. Vile wanasema, kwamba kuna vitu ambavyo serikali nasema itafanya, lakini haifanyi. So kile tunafanya tunawambia wazazi, kama mnataka hii shule yenyu kuwe na watchman, nyinyi ndio mtatusaidia kulipa. Kama mnataka kuwe na stima kwa hii shule, nyinyi mtatusaidia kulipa. So we agree on a figure.
Can't be.
Sorry, I'd cut him short. I don't think so. Ulikuwa umemaliza?
Wanamalizia.
Malizia.
Okay, ndio tulikuwa tunasema hizo vitu siko different. Ukiona kwa TV vile CS anasema pesa iko, hiyo pesa hatuoni, na kama iko inaenda wapi na inasaidia nini? Pia serikali maybe wa Kenya ama nini itafanyika ndio kitu kibadilike, kwa sababu unapata wakati wa Kibaki watoto walisoma, ulikuwa unaambiwa free ni free. Ukipatana na mtoto wa mtu kwa barabara umwambie nenda shule, ataenda kwa sababu, ama utamlazimisha aende kwa sababu ni free. Lakini sasa utaambia mtoto wa mtu akwambie nimefukuzwa 1000, utampatia aende kweli? Hataenda. Kwa hivyo itabidi tu watoto utakutana nao mtaani wale wamefukuzwa hiyo pesa. Si free hata kidogo. Hiyo CBC ni kitu mzuri. Ilikuwa kitu mzuri, lakini maybe hao watu wa kuimplement ndio wanaharibu. Juu mtu ametaka kusomea kitu fulani, anapewa chance ya kuisomea. Lakini sasa hawa nao, ukiangalia hizo mashule zilijengwa wakati hiyo CBC kianza, wakalazimisha watu tunajenga sijui magorofa, tunajenga nini. Sasa hiyo wakati hiyo government iliingia hiyo ya ingine, hizo mashule zimekwama. Hiyo pesa si ilipotea. Hakuna mahali kitu mpya ilijengwa ya kusaidia CBC. Hakuna madarasa zilijengwa, zile zilijengwa hizo magorofa hazijaendelea mahali popote tangu government ingie. Kumaanisha hata ingine itakapoingia tena tunarudi nyuma step ingine. Tunafaa kuwa tuna policy moja, ile government ikiingia ni hiyo tu. Hakuna ingine atu wana implement ingine ama wanabadilisha kitu yote hapo.
All right, let's listen to the lady here.
Even if you are saying that 10,000, you can even have 10,000 na mtoto wako tena asiingie public school.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know that? So that even you have 10,000, but hiyo shule nayo tena itakupatia nafasi.
Okay.
Kwa sababu hiyo nafasi pia kuipata ni ngumu. So even these guys who are sitting here, they'll tell you, uko na 10,000 or 20,000, wanakuambia kuna nafasi.
Okay. Let's listen to the lady here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Elizabeth from Embakasi South. It is a hassle to take our kids in a public school. So unapata hata hiyo 10,000 ya kuona mwalimu kando kwanza ndio ukubaliwe ufanye interview. It is not a guarantee that utaingia hiyo shule. Unapata unalipia vitu vingi ni kana kwamba unapeleka mtoto high school. Unapata sisi Embakasi South, private schools are so many. Zingine hata ni vibanda ambako watoto wetu wapati elimu bora. The future of our kids is affected. Their destinies are affected kwa sababu hatuna masomo ambayo inazingatia watoto wetu watakuwa watu ambao watajenga nchi ya baadaye.
Private school ni vibanda.
Yes.
Sijui, sielewi. Vibanda ni mali tunanunua. I know what kibanda is. That's why I'm trying to connect kibanda na shule.
Okay.
What are we saying here? Vibanda mali naenda kununua nyanya.
Kibanda ni kumaanisha kwamba
mali naenda kukula chapati madondo.
Mweleze unajua si wa kwetu.
Wewe ni mgeni.
See, I don't know.
Kibanda namaanisha ni
Materials,
nyumba
yes.
ambazo zimejengwa kwa
Yeah.
mabati. Saa wamegawanya. As a school unapata hii ni darasa la kwanza, la pili, la tatu, namna hiyo.
Wow.
Is where we take our kids.
And it's all is a school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pia hiyo darasa nini, kuna wakati wa saa 8 football itaochiwa hapo Manchester na Arsenal. Kuna kanisa itakuwa hapo Sunday in the same hiyo nini hiyo.
Okay. Please go ahead, Mama.
So we are here just to voice our voices that the state organs may hear our pleas, so that those lands that are building affordable houses, they can raise a facility that will facilitate our watoto wetu wapate mafunzo. Na my kids, mimi nina watoto 6. Hawa watoto kupeleka pia in private schools, it is not easy. Sababu kila wakati wako wapi? Nyumbani. Kila wakati wanafukuzwa karo ya shule. Ukipeana hiyo 500, it is not guaranteed that mtoto wako atakuwa darasani.
Wait, amefukuzwa nyumbani juu ya 500. Na unasema si guarantee hata ukilipa ataingia kwa darasa?
Yeah.
Kwa nini?
Why?
You see, when they say there is a certain amount wanatoa kwamba school fees walipe per term. Na kwa tamu ni kama wakitoa 4,000, 5,000, na unajua maisha ya wazazi ambao wako kijijini, it is a hustle. Kujipa maisha ya kuzingatia masomo ya watoto inakuwa ni vigumu kidogo. Sasa wewe mzazi ukitoa shilingi 500 unapelekea mtoto shuleni, inamaanisha si atakaa darasani. It is you to make sure that utatafuta kazi, upambane, uende ukalipia mtoto wako karo.
That is in
Si
private
rahisi
schools.
kwetu.
In private schools.
Yeah.
All right, let's listen to Mama at the back. You can just stand and yeah.
Kwa majina naitwa Esther Musangi na wasalimu wote. Habari zenu?
Salama.
Mimi ni mzazi wa watoto 3. Nilimbangaiza nafasi hapo kwa shule za nini za government, sikupata nafasi. Sasa mimi nang'ang'ananga kusomesha watoto wangu kwa private schools. Hizo private watoto mara mingi wanashinda kwa manyumba. Sababu kama uko na mtoto tuseme kama grade 6, uko na grade 2 na tuseme uko na secondary, uta afford kulipia watoto ile nini pesa walimu wanahitaji. Utapea huyu school fees, ukirudi nyumbani yule mwingine ameshinda kwa nyumba. Labda amekuja amekukosa, utapata alishinda kwa nyumba, amefukuzwa school fees. Hii maneno mnauliza ati watoto wanafanya mtihani aje tuseme kama grade 8. Watoto wanakujanga, wanafukuzwa, wanaambiwa endeni mlete wazazi, tuambie vile tutawapanga kufanya mtihani ya grade 8. Mkienda shule, mnaambiwa watoto hawatafanyia mtihani kwa hiyo shule. Sasa zile shule ziko registered, wanangawa watoto kwa hizo mashule. Utapata mtoto wangu kama alikuwa anasomea Slums, anafanyia mtihani kwa shule ingine inaitwa aje? Yaani shule ingine wanawapeleka huko. Sasa mtihani yake alisomea Slums, mtihani yake ya grade 8 itakuja na shule ingine certificate yake. Hivyo sasa ndo wanafanya.
Kwa nini? Juu hiyo school haiko registered. Hiyo shule haiko registered. So hawezi. Okay, I understand. All right.
Sasa hivyo ndo wanafanya.
Kwa nini haukupata space kwa hiyo shule ya kwanza kabla ulienda hiyo private?
Unaenda kwa government, unaitishwa kila mtoto hizo ngiri 10 za kuona ndio upate nafasi kwa hiyo shule. Unapiga hesabu uko na watoto 3. Hiyo ni 30,000. Utatoa wapi? Unarudi tena hapa kwa private school.
Okay, let's listen to the gentleman.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Vincent Andare. I come from Embakasi South. On my side, I was to talk about the school fees, because I realize some of the schools wanalipisha school fees tofauti sana. Sababu mimi ni mzazi, kuna shule nimetembea kadhaa ambazo nilikuwa natafuta kupeleka watoto. Unaenda kwa shule, unaelezewa, unapewa hiyo ya school fee structure. Unapata hadi kuna shule inalipisha per month, ambapo ukiangalia shule inalipisha per month inakuwa high kabisa kwa fee. Alafu pia inakuwa very tricky kwa mzazi kulipa, sababu before hiyo mwezi ishe inastahili hiyo kiwango kuwa umekamilisha kulipa.
So hii ni in private ama public school?
This is private school.
Private.
Yeah, even moja hapo iko tu hapa Embakasi, hapa karibu Embakasi hapa Imara. Nimeenda hapo hata juzi nikaangalia. Fee wanalipisha pamoja na kila siku wana make sure mtoto ako kwa barabara. Sababu wanataka kabla mwezi ishe hiyo fee ikiwa imekamilishwa ndio waanze hiyo mwezi nyingine.
So swali ni nini ilikusukuma kupeleka mtoto private school na si public school?
Sana public school mara mingi ambavyo wazazi wenzangu wamesema, hiyo shule za government ukienda pale lazima kuna vitu vingi sana unaitisha. Sana ambapo nimesikia watu wakisema kuna kulipishwa 10,000 ya kuona tu kwanza mwenye ako hapo, yani kuhangana. Yeah, kuna hizo, alafu kuna ile pia unaelezewa ndio mtoto aingie unafaa ulipe kiwango fulani. Sasa kama mimi kuna moja nilienda ya public, nikaambiwa ndio mtoto aingie utalipa hii kiwango ndiposa tumshughulikie aingie. Na kabla aingie pia lazima utalipa za interview, ulipe za hizi vitu ndogo ndogo, kiti, hizo vitabu nini. Sasa inakuwa
hiyo ni kando na school fees.
Yes,
hiyo peke yake ukihesabu yote ni kama pesa ngapi hivi?
Hasta inapita hiyo 10,000 ukihesabu zile tu vitu unaitishwa ndogo ndogo pale ndani zinapita 10,000. Ambapo sasa inakuwa hata kama we mzazi ulikuwa unatafuta shule, hiyo kitu itakugwaza, utafikiria kuliko ni sumbukane hapa nikibembelezana nipewe nafasi ya mtoto asome. Ni hili sasa hata uende kwa private, ambapo pale private utalipishwa kiwango ya fee, ambapo utailipa ingaje ni tricky, sababu private nyingi saizi wanaangalia pesa, hawaangalii masomo. Hiyo ndio kitu moja nimekuwa nikiangalia. Pale pia mtoto akiingia shule wana make sure kabla tamu ishe ukue umelipa zile pesa. Sasa shida inakuwa ile wakati mtoto anaenda shule maybe wajaelezea wazazi, lakini mtoto anaenda shule, ikifika muda fulani unapata watoto wako kwa nyumba, watoto wamerudishwa fee. Ambapo hiyo pia ni changamoto kubwa sana kwa wazazi. Na kuna ile pia unapata maybe mzazi within hiyo muda hana kitu, sababu kwa saizi venye life iko hard. So kuna venye mzazi lazima jikakamue apate fee, lakini pia na walimu pia na hawapei wazazi hiyo chance ya kutafuta. Wao wanataka mtoto akiwa shule akamilishe kila kitu ndio aendelee kusoma.
So we're talking about a situation where education is supposed to be free, right?
Yeah.
But here's a question where you go to public school, you're asked for money. You go to private school, still again what? It is money. So question is, what are we doing to the education? And is education as stated to be free, really free, Claudia?
I concur with what the stakeholders here have mentioned. The government has tried in having the free primary education and also the transition policy, ensuring that, children go to school. But the reality I'll still say that is not the case. I will just follow up with what he's just said from a report by Each Rights on Mathare. They are focusing on Mathare, and the topic of the report last year was build us more schools. And they actually confirmed that parents actually prefer to take their children to the low-cost private schools because of cost. If you compare, if you put together all this cost they're talking about, there's a 10,000. You will, at the end of the day, you're paying so much money in public schools, and most parents are actually preferring to take their children to private school. One, it's actually cheaper, as they say, based on the report. And the other aspect is they are allowed to pay in installments. In a local private school, utalipa kidogo kidogo. Leo umeenda kuongelesha mwalimu, nitalipa hii 5,000. Siku ingine unaweza rudi useme, nitalipa 2,000. Pole pole, which that is not the case in public primary school. The other aspect is accessibility, right? We've already established that there are few public primary schools in the country, and even in the informal settlements. Yep. So for example, in Mathare, if you have like 6 public schools, in Mathare, the whole of Mathare. Look at the population in Mathare, over 200,000 people. If one school is, for example, in Nairobi CBD, and a child has to walk from here to Nairobi CBD, if you're a parent, you're thinking first of the safety of your child. Sure. Look at the foundational years. A child is in PP or PP1, PP2, or even in grade 1, 2, 3. Are you sure your child will be safe? Look at the setup of the informal settlements. The safety, they have to cross roads, they have to cross different things to ensure they get back to school. So when the parents look at accessibility, they prefer, let me pay, wacha nilipe private school iko karibu na kwangu. I can go for my hustle. I pick my child at lunchtime, nimpatie chakula niende kazini, than taking my child to a very far distance school. The other aspect, the parent, it's a perception that there is quality. Quality in the low-cost private schools because of pupil-teacher ratio. Because in public primary school, as we've been told, the numbers are huge. You know, Dennis mentioned 100, 100 per class. If you go to a private school, yenye imetengezwa na kibanda mabati, how many children are there? The parents are here. How many children are there? Wako wengi ama wachache? Yeah, ni wachache. So the perception of the parents are like, kama naweza peleka mtoto wangu kwa shule ambao haina watoto wengi, there is quality. Okay. So, but our data shows, our 2023 data shows that actually public schools outperformed private schools. In our 2023 assessments. Yeah. So there's still an issue of quality even in the low-cost private schools. For
sure, I think the quality goes across board because what we talk about here are brick and mortar issues, isn't it? Yeah. Actually getting the student bodies into class is a struggle. You buy the imaginary desk, you will pay the headmaster whatever 10,000, which we don't even know where it goes. But my question is, Mwalimu Amunga, has this been the case? It is hard to imagine that things have deteriorated at such a crazy level in just 3 years. We talk about the current administration, but it seems to me as though this is not a new phenomenon. This is something that has been around for a long time, or am I wrong?
It has been there for a long time.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is that the government is unable to provide quality education to all children in this country.
And has been unable even before 2022.
It's been unable all along.
Okay.
It's just that as the population continues to grow, as the population in this country continues to grow, then these challenges now come to the front. And everybody now starts noticing that there's been a problem. Quality education is, as I've said before, is 3 things. Quality teachers, quality tools, quality environment. Now, most of our schools don't have these things. And even the budget that we talk about as a country that we are putting into education is not proportional to the number of children that we have. And our planners, the people who plan for this country, the people who plan especially for the education sector, they have some of their priorities very wrong. All these things begin from the planning and from the top. So what we are hearing from down here is the failure at the top for planning and the politicization of education sector, whereby we have allowed politicians to take over the education sector. So that, as one of the parents said, we have our MCA now coming in to help us. Now, these things are supposed to be done by the Ministry of Education, qualified people doing this work. I can tell you, and she can tell you for the reports that we have, the inspectors that we used to have when, say, Dennis was in school, those inspectors that will come in school and you see teachers scampering to safety helter-skelter looking for how to meet the syllabus are no longer there. We do no longer have inspectors of schools because the government also can't afford. What we used to have something called quality education enforcers. People to move from school to school to enforce, to see if the curriculum is being taught, is no longer happening. So these things is because of the top. Our country has a problem. And because we are looking for the next election, and somebody has said it here, something that ukisema ni ya bure, masomo ni ya bure, it's even worse. There is nothing like free lunch in this world. In fact, the truth of the matter is this: education can never be free. Education has a cost, a very big cost. Quality education is costly, and CBE, for that matter, is a very costly kind of a system. So if as a country we can't put the money in our mouth or wherever we are talking about,
so then should we have free education then? Because we say free education and it sounds great to the ear, you know, but obviously a government cannot handle it. It sounds very difficult to want to accept, but can you actually afford free education?
We cannot afford free education. There is nothing like free education. If we have to talk about free education, that means we may have to do something like affirmative action, whereby we bring in money, like what we are doing for affordable housing. We tax people or tax Kenyans and put the money exactly to say, like what we are doing for SHA. Instead of just saying SHA, now we say for education. This money is going to the education. Otherwise, as a country, as we are right now, we are using 701 billion on the education sector. Yet our lecturers are on strike as I speak this moment. Yet our teachers have not been employed. So there's nothing like free. Even the books that we are supposed to be using in those schools have to be paid for. So all I can say is this, and maybe as I conclude on this one, is we as a country are so much engrossed in something called fake news. We propagate issues that are not there, imaginary. Like the parents are saying here, we're talking about a desk, which you know very well, there's no desk. That is what happens also from the top level. We tell the Minister of Education, will say, we have done this. But we on the ground, me as a teacher, teaching in a public school, I can tell you, even that money, actually, maybe parents don't know this. The government sends per child to every school 23 shillings per year. 23 shillings in primary schools. So with 23 shillings, you can do the mathematics. What can I do with it as a teacher, as a school? That's why we as teachers are levying extra levies to parents in our public schools. And government knows, and government can do nothing about it. It can't arrest us. There is no teacher you'll hear being arrested because we have charged extra money, because we are protected by the government. The government knows we are doing the right thing. We can't run a school without money. That's why we have got things now coming up. You're hearing about 50,000 ghost learners in our schools. Where do these things come from? What happens is because the government, the same government, protects what we are doing. They know there are illegalities going on. They know we are charging this money, but they know there's value to the country.
Mwalimu, let me just ask you a simple question. We say we spend 701 billion shillings in the education sector, but as we sit here today and we look at the education in the country, does it look like 701 billion?
Of course, it does not look like that, because most of that money does not reach where it's supposed to reach. That's why we're talking about ghost learners in schools. That's why we're talking about ghost schools. A school in Bomet allocated 500 million that doesn't reach that school. The school is not there. So these monies don't reach the schools. These monies, our researchers here will tell us, as much as we talk about these big budgets that are going to the education sector, most of this money ends up somewhere else and not us. World Bank, and I have to say this here, our donors and our funders as a country have had to come in very strongly by trying to see how they can help us account and give us money that we can account. But as I speak, if we are to go and do some research, there are several members of the Ministry of Education who have been arrested. 2 of them are actually serving sentence in court, in jail, because the money can come in from the donors, but that doesn't reach us. So where the money goes, what happens? Me as a teacher and these parents who are seated here, may not be able to tell.
So something is going on, and I'd like to hear from our lady in the back here, because ulikuwa umesema that, you know, kuna 100 and something students in class, mnanunua desk, amjui yo desk iko wapi, mnapatia head teacher 10,000 shillings, but that's the stuff, right? It's the hammer and the nails. Uko na hakika watoto wanasomeshwa vizuri kweli ukiangalia?
Hapana. Sababu kama mimi siwezi peleka watoto huko, mwalimu, watoto wenye wako mbele ndio watashika hayo masomo.
Mbele ya classroom sasa.
Yes. Lakini wenye wako nyuma hawatashika. Utapata watoto wamelala. Watoto wamelala na mwalimu ajui kama wamelala. Hiyo ni kitu yani hata nimechunguza mimi mwenyewe na nikauliza mtoto, sasa mkienda shule mnafanyaga, wenye wako nyuma wanalala. Hata si lazima tuende shule. Mwalimu hatajua kama tuko shule ama hatuko shule. Hata kuwa na time ya kuja kuangalia. Hakuna hata register. Sasa mimi nitakipeleka wagu waje huko public. Wagu wako private. Lakini kutoka January hawajasoma.
Meaning what?
Yes, wakienda shule wanafukuzwa.
Tuko October.
Yes, tuko October. Mtoto wangu wako grade 9.
Ako grade 9 na
yes,
kuna exam.
Yes.
Kuna exam.
Nilienda huko. Walitisha, waliniambia ili mtoto aruhusiwe kuingia class, kwanza nipeleke 5,000.
Umekuwa na watoto kwa nyumba kutoka January.
Wanaenda wakirudishwa. Nikajaribu hata kuuza vitu vya nyumba watoto wasome. Lakini hata ukilipa, mwezi ukiisha wanarudishwa bado. You have to clear the fee. So nikawapebeleza ili huyu mtoto wa grade 9 asome, afanye mtihani, wakakataa.
I don't even know what to say.
You know, hearing some situations is just difficult, because remember, at the end of the day, that grade 9er will have to sit the same assessment as every other student who have access to these facilities. But remember, as we talk about this now, so you've established the CBC as it's being implemented, but then again there is JSS, and when we talk about JSS, kuna pathways. Mimi, my son wants to play football, but we've established that hizi shule ambazo watoto wanaenda hawana hizi facilities ya kucheza football. Mwingine anataka kuwa swimmer, hawana swimming pool. As parents, are you concerned that at the end of the day, even the curriculum yenye wamepeana CBE would not achieve what is intended?
Nitachangia hivi kwamba I'm a parent and a guardian for several students in several schools in this country, and I can attest that I've seen it all. Allow me just very briefly to say this, that in this area where I come from, because I'll speak from where I come from because I know it better, that quality, equality or equity do not matter here. Teachers, when we started, we said about them earning 5 to 7K. It is a real situation on ground. Head teacher unapata sasa, deputy ndio pengine anapata 7, and it's a true testimony in Mukuru. You will find that parents, mtoto wake anafundishwa na walimu tofauti, like let's say in a month or in a term. Mtoto wake anafundishwa na walimu tofauti because walimu wanabadilishwa juu labda kutolipwa. Unapata darasa 10 by 10 maybe imekatwa katikati, imefanywa partitioning, then watoto wako pande wanasikia nyingine nafundishwa pande nyingine. You will find that in these private schools, there are schools that I've seen 3 kids in one classroom. 3 kids. Na nafikiri kuna mzazi hapa atakubali kwamba hata nilimshauri akatoa watoto wake kwa hiyo shule. Grade 2 had 1 kid, grade 3 had 3 kids in one classroom. Then as I finish, kuna shule ambayo ilikuwa imezingirwa na chang'aa dens. I'll not name it. It was closed. The school had to be ejected from that area a month ago. The area is surrounded by chang'aa dens and it had to be moved out. It has to be engulfed. Then when all these things are happening, how come nobody is seeing or paying attention in all this mess? With so many education institutions in Kenya. CS education allow me to use this platform to say that CS education is poor when it comes to site visits. If you remember what the former rest in peace Professor Magoha, what he used to do, he came with gumboots in Mukuru and did what he did. Now he said that we identify areas that were meant for schools, parcels that were meant for school. We did that and dropped those documents to relevant offices, but they are gathering dust in on those shelves. Let me provide some way forward as I finish that I call for immediate government intervention and do the necessary. That is reclamation of spaces meant for schools, increase education infrastructure, temporary support for these children or these parents who are here. I know we have left very many parents in Mukuru who have the same problems here. It's only that I could not carry all of them as you had instructed me. They need temporary support. Huyu mama ambaye anaongea kuhusu mtoto wake ako grade 9. It's a situation that I know. It was kuna msichana alikuwa grade 9, sitamtaja hapa. Alikuwa nje ya shule na nikampeleka kwa hiyo shule through the help of well wishers. Na kuna pia mwanasiasa fulani ambaye sitamtaja hapa. Nikapeleka huyo mtoto kwa shule, alikuwa na arrears ya karibu 22,000 na wale wahisani wakamlipia. Then the principal told me there's another genius boy here. There's a genius boy here ambaye pia ako kwa nyumba. Can you imagine we left with that principal tukaenda kwa nyumba ya huyu mama. Is when I came to know her. Tukaenda na huyu principal ya shule kwa. But that kid as we speak, kama kuna Mkenya anasikiza anaweza saidia mama. That boy anaitwa Victor na ni mwerevu sana, ako kwa nyumba vile tunaongea. Na inafaa akalie KJSA. Anaendanga mahali fulani tuition, analipa, you said how much? 50 shillings on a Saturday.
And how much is he supposed to pay to go so that he can sit this exam? 33,000 shillings is what is owed.
So I say that this education sector in Kenya is in a crisis and it needs radical surgery. Then on bursaries, which maybe we might forget, bursaries is when parents who are here and all the stakeholders, it is possible to have education can be very free in this country if we merge bursaries. Because me, I understand the nitty-gritty, the A to Z, the running of NGCDF. I understand it fully. And I try to count the number of bursaries that are there. There are almost 20 in categories. Asanteni.
Absolutely. Claudia, what do we need to do? Because I'm just thinking about, this is a group of 8 people, right? And everybody has an experience. We see all of us come into contact with the education system every day. It really doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter whether you're in Kuru, whether you're in Embakasi East, South, whether you're in Kileleshwa, whether you're in Westerns, whether you're on Mombasa Road. The problems are through and through. But then I think about the solution, which we must having when we have these conversations. What is the solution to all of this? Can you imagine? We've introduced these children to a corrupt system. We've introduced these children to a lackluster system in terms of quality. They grow up knowing that if I'm in the back of the class, for God's sake, I'm going to sleep. Whether the teacher teaches or whether I go to class or not, doesn't matter. Nobody's going to ask questions. I have been with I'm just listing them so that we can see how it sounds. Whether I have been in this school for 8 years, I'm going to go sit a KGSE EA exam in another school. They don't even know who I am, but we saw
Mwalimu.
All right. So then we keep moving like that. I don't even want to start asking about sanitary conditions. I'm being told that there are some schools where children, when they should be learning, are the ones who are cleaning the schools. And they're the ones washing the toilets. For God's sake, what do we expect is supposed to happen? But then how do we clean it up? How do we assure quality? Let's even start with infrastructure. And this is one part of the city that has 17 constituencies, right? How are we going to start to chip away to get to the solution? Because it seems like a hell of a lot of work to do.
Thank you for the questions and charting the way forward, because we're all about solutions. There are problems, but we're all about solutions. I'll just speak it from what Mwalimu said. The problem in this country, based on where we sit as researchers, is not allocation of money in the education sector. The problem is utilization of the money. The problem is utilization. We have a huge budget on education. So how can we ensure there is proper utilization? It's a time where we call people to be accountable. In every space that anyone occupies, can they just now become accountable and measures taken on those who are ruining the education for our children? The state has the mandate to provide quality education in this country. So we are slowly failing to achieve that. Can everyone take accountability? From where I sit in terms of policy engagements, we have a lot of policies in the education space, but the challenge is enforcement. Right? Because there's another guideline on school establishment where it says for you to establish another primary school, there has to be a population of 480 children and the distance should not be less than 600 meters. So in this situation where we are seeing that there are few primary schools, can we just apply the policy where if we find a school has more than 480 children, can we now establish another school and ensure that the children have enough infrastructure, have enough teachers so they can get quality education? The other aspect that I'd like to mention is we are hearing a lot of low-cost private schools. They're here with us, and they will be here with us for long. Is it time for the government to streamline them? Streamline them, do some quality checks and ensure that they are registered and provide quality education, because that's a solution, because they complement the public primary schools that we have and they're limited. Can they now be streamlined? So that now at the end of the day, when you go to an upbed school or when you go to a low-cost private school, you're able to go through the system and be able to do your exams and continue with your life. In terms of community, because you're looking at government, so what can the communities do to ensure that we have quality education in this country? As parents seated here, we have a role. True or false? We have a role. And your role is calling to accountability the leaders in your wards, the leaders in your constituency. Soon we'll be going into the election year. Leaders will come up with manifestos. Can we ensure, like in our communities, there's a component of education and not just education, quality education? Can we also ensure that there's a scorecard? If you want to run for a second term, there's a scorecard. How did you perform in ensuring we have quality education in our county or constituency? Those are some of the ideas I have on improvement of quality education.
Mm-hmm. I want to add something. Can I add just something about now the teaching part of it? You've really given very wonderful solutions. Mm-hmm. And we've just seen in the last 1 week some very big riots in schools, mm-hmm. children burning dormitories, and all this kind of thing. Yeah. It's part of the systematic failure. And I tend to think one of the biggest solutions that we need in the education sector is management, leadership and management of schools, and all this kind of thing falls back on people like us, we teachers. That teachers and people who have been given the responsibility to man education in this country just need to take their work very seriously now. We've reached a place whereby we cannot afford to joke with the whole nation. These parents are depending on us as leaders. These parents and this nation actually, and our generations to come, are dependent on us as teachers and we as leaders elected in this country. We need to think very seriously. There is a person who said, if you get your education wrong as a country, you've gotten everything wrong. So maybe it is time now, as a country called Kenya, that we need to just mature up. We need to stop this kind of thing that we just let things just happen and just be like ambulance chasers when it comes to education. Education in this country lacks proper policy, lacks proper direction. The changes in this curriculum, the organs that are supposed to be running the education system, like the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, we need these things to work. We need semester, the people who come up with STEM, the subjects that we are teaching. We need these people to get very serious about it, and not only just get serious, we also need our parliament. Our parliamentarians, we must call them to order as a solution. You members of parliament, we have got something called the Education Committee in parliament. Are you able to give direction, proper direction on where our education is going? When we see schools burning, when you see our young children take to the dorms and burn the whole school down, it means we have failed as a country. We have failed as teachers, and we must rise up and take this chance to ask ourselves the hard questions. Are we on the right direction or not?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think, as I said, I will say this very briefly. We are on our own. Because the moment you see that the solutions upon which we believe that should come about, as Madam has told us, they are still dependent on the same leaders who have already failed us. There is no way, I believe, the Minister of Education can be foolhardy enough to go take his child and take them to a public school. They cannot do that. These things, they make them for us. Why? Can they afford to take their children from where they're learning and take them to public schools? They cannot, because they know the quality of education that is being given out there. As they say, when mother cow is chewing grass, its young ones watch its mouth. The truth is, if a high-profile politician can decide Langata Primary School does not need that extra space, but adjacent to it there is a hotel, they must that space goes to the hotel, then you know what I'm talking about. We need to do what we call cleansing, and this cleansing must be political. When we go vote, ladies and gentlemen, let us go and vote wisely. Let us go and vote for the posterity, for our children. We are having already, we have had enough. We cannot continue like this.
Point of information. Oh, thank you. Mine is just some information. It's good that you have brought in the issue of the leaders we elect. And Claudia, you have talked of, you have gone that route, that's where we can bring some change, that we look at the people we elect. There's a saying that people get the leaders they deserve, right? But me, I'm a voter educator, and I've been accredited to offer. With the coming general election, I've been accredited, a week ago, I've been accredited to offer to be a voter education provider countrywide. So, and I'm the brainchild behind what we call the manifesto of its kind that existed in Embaka South on the run-up to 2022 election. So, I did organize what we call candidates debate, whereby politicians don't come up with a manifesto. Politicians don't come up with a manifesto to tell us what they do. We know what we want. And I'm planning to take it countrywide, Asanteni.
Well, these are tough conversations that we have. And can you make your point in 10 seconds? Because we need to close this out now.
Yeah. So maybe just give an overview what we have discussed here. One, kuna hiki kitu kila mtu anasema kwamba education iwezi kuwa free. Education inaweza kuwa free. Kwa sababu hatuwezi kuwa tuna pesa alafu tukose free education. Nini tunakosa? Kila mtu akaapa kiongozi umechagua anatoshana na sisi. It's the face of us, because even it's the president ndiye akili yetu yenye tuko nayo.
Okay. There we go.
Because if you look at the way we are having leaders who are leading us, is what we are made of.
All right.
Now
so
we should be looking where is our problem.
Let's say our decisions reflect exactly who we are.
Indeed. This has been a SpiceFM Baraza. It's been a difficult one to just be able to go through the realities, but then understanding what really took a ground. That's a totally different reality from what is really going on and what is in the boardrooms. Thank you, each and every one of you who are here this morning and sharing those difficult experiences. It's our hope that we don't stop talking about it so that we can get solutions. We don't want to just complain, but we also want to look forward to a time where these will be things of the past. It doesn't need to be. We can do better. We should do better. Thanks for being part of the Spice Baraza this morning. Claudia Lagat, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Bwana Amunga, Bwana Ambuche, thank you for leading the team. Each and every one of you. Asanteni sana for coming this morning. We'll continue more with our conversations, and thank you all of you who are here on our audiences on our live streams this morning, continuing to be part of this conversation, and of course our audiences on KTN around the country and around the world. This is the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.